Let's head to the papers now, see what the headlines are this morning. And I have two gentlemen to help us make sense of all of the topics we'll be discussing on the stand now. Our public affairs analyst and chartered accountant, Sheson Okwoche, as well as another public affairs commentator, Smart Okwoche. Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
Nice to see you.
It's a pleasure.
Very good. Let's begin with...
Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah, thank God it's Friday. Fridays are exciting days, I must say.
The time to go
All right.
work, yeah.
Daily Sun is where we start from this morning. Let's start with the Daily Sun. And it says, pro-El Zakzaki protest spreads. Shiites storm Lagos, clash with police again in Abuja. Gunshots as 60 protesters are arrested in the FCT. Find that on the front page of the Daily Sun. And the News Direct is the next where we go now. Military, police, medicals source uniforms locally. Buhari is quoted as saying that as CBN targets zero textile apparels importation by 2020 and to reduce a $4 billion annual import bill. Okay, that's a development a lot of Nigerians will be happy with. Blueprint is where we go next. Blueprint says illicit financial flows, bulk of $90 billion exits Africa through Nigeria. Troubling, really. Bulk of $90 billion exits Africa through Nigeria. Continent loses $50 billion to illegal assets, and federal government saves 10 trillion naira from TSA. You find all that on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Daily Trust is where we go next now. Daily Trust says, Buhari to National Assembly leadership, I am under pressure to constitute cabinet. I am under pressure to constitute cabinet. That's the president quoted as saying that. And I was quoted, misquoted on a ministerial list. I was misquoted on the ministerial list, Lawan says. Okay, because it was on the papers yesterday when the Senate President was quoted as saying that the ministerial list will be sent to the National Assembly before the end of the week. And today is the end of the week officially, but the headline here now says that he was misquoted out of, quoted out of context. Let's move now to The Nation. The Nation newspaper is where we go next now. Revealed, Kaduna politician behind Tinubu 2023 items. And the APC stalwarts alleged ambition souvenirs traced to Dubai. You find that on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. All right, from there, let's go to the Vanguard now. The Vanguard says Shiites clash with police in Abuja protests in Lagos and cause massive traffic gridlock in Maryland, Bank Anthony Way and Ikorodu Road in Lagos. Say 21 million Shiites ready to die, threaten nationwide protests if El Zakzaki is not released. You'll find that on the front page of the Vanguard. Okay, gentlemen, this is where I'd like us to start from this morning. The Vanguard and the Daily Sun have the same headlines, and this is part of what is on the front burner right now. A lot of Nigerians have said, federal government, follow the rule of law. A court has ordered that Zakzaki be released on bail. Whatever is the issue, take him to court, let the court take the process. But the federal government, at its own discretion, due to information he has that Nigerians don't know, is still keeping him. And all the supporters are protesting. We have seen in the past few days the dimension of the protest in Abuja went violent and so on. Smart, let me start with you on this. What are your concerns with the dimension, the way things are going?
You see, my concern is the fact that the government has refused to read the handwriting on the wall. If care is not taken, this Shiite issue will snowball into insurgency again, just like we have the Boko Haram. Yes. If you look at what the nation have spent in the past 6-7 years tackling security issue occasioned by the Boko Haram insurgency, you will see that it is more than enough to put in infrastructure. And that is why you see the likes of Alex Bade and co. embezzling, mismanaging billions of dollars. And the nation is not looking at it. You see, what I expect this government to have done is that, look, there's what we call strategic thinking. You come back and say, look, if this is their agitation, why not use the carrot and the stick approach? Okay, we'll release this guy and put him under security surveillance. and allow this guy to go, for goodness sake. These people, they are becoming daring every day. I saw the guy that jumped on a Peugeot car and he was eating it. The guy fell down, and you see, these people are not relenting. And every day they are changing their strategy. Now they are now in Lagos. The next thing you see, they will be in Oyo. They will be all over the places. Either you like it or not. We have the Sunni, we have the Shiites. These people have large followers in Islam. And these are if you look at the Shiites, they are the most deadly and they are the most deadly if you look at them. In their this thing, they are so dogmatic, they are so religious to what they believe. If they believe that their leader is their life, look, they will follow it. And the government knows this.
All right.
El-Rufai knows this. Buhari knows this. I don't know why they are doing this.
All right. Sheson, we have seen dimension, the way things are going. Certainly, when it comes to the right, the Constitution and all of that, there is freedom. Everybody has the freedom to assemble, freedom of assembly, there's a freedom to associate, there's a freedom to protest, there's freedom of all of those, even though there are also limitations to some extent when it has to still be within the law. But when you check the people's agitation and what they are protesting, the message they are putting out, what concerns do you have with the way things are turning out?
If I pick it up from what Smart said, I think our government are not thinking strategically. I have an issue. You took the guy to court, and he was granted bail, but you're telling us that you can't release him. The first thing is to be transparent with the information. Let the whole world know the reason why you are detaining him. If you have to release him, like you said, put him on security surveillance, that everybody will know that, okay, we are watching. This is the reason why. Because, you see, when I watched that video of that guy, you discover that these guys are ready to die for this cause. Now it started all the way.
Their headline on Vanguard says 21 million Shiites ready to die.
So that
it's
means
on the headline.
That means they have great followers. If you're talking of 21 million people, that means they are spread around. And to my own knowledge, this is another Boko Haram in the making. What we used to hear, they were just in Abuja and possibly some part of Kaduna, but now they are in Lagos. Possibly by next week, you'll be talking of another state. Once they're able to capture like 4 or 5 states, we've started another problem again.
But going forward, really, apart from the fact that there has been traces of violence in some of the protests, which some of their members say that they were infiltrated, but when it comes to the passion for a cause, is this something that is encouraging to say, okay, Nigerians, when you have a passion for anything, follow it to the end, because it is spreading from Abuja. Now we have them in Lagos. Smart.
Honestly, first I want to salute the courage of these guys. In what they believed in, they are passionate about it. Look, I saw some of the people that were arrested yesterday, even some of them women, ladies. They were so calm, they were so relaxed. That shows that if you like kill us, if you like arrest us, we will not stop. And I even saw the demonstration after they were even being arrested. You see that, and I hope Nigerians can take this beyond this. Not only in the area of governance, not only in the area of this demonstration for Zaki. Let Nigerians learn a lesson from this. Let us begin to hold our government accountable by going to the street, by demonstrating in a civil way. And there is no way you will carry out a civil demonstration that you will not be infiltrated. First, I agree to that. Those guys said, look, they are not the one doing this violence.
Vandalizing cars.
That they have been infiltrated. There is no way. Even in Lagos, we see it. I have joined so many strikes all over the places, maybe from NLC to Alausa, and we see that sometimes the area boys will join us from Ojuelegba, they will join us at Onipa and Pangrove, and you see them causing mayhem. We say that this is not what we are out. We are on the possession. You see, we must learn something from this, that Nigerian government first must listen to these guys. We must not allow this thing again to snowball into the area. If you look at what we have spent on the area of expanding bullets, tear gas, if you put this together, you see that these have run into millions of naira. We must not be wasting resources like this on what we can resolve. Now, bring this man again out. Say, look, talk to your members that you are safe, that your health is being taken care of, that they should please go and lay down their arms.
All right.
Pro-El Zakzaki protest spreads. Shiite storm Lagos. Clash with police again in Abuja. Gunshots as 60 protesters are arrested in the FCT. And that's the picture story there that, gives us more feel to this developing story. To News Direct now, where the lead story is military, police, medicals, source uniforms locally. That's from the president. As CBN targets zero textile apparel importation by the year 2020 and a further rider to reduce $4 billion annual import bill. That's News Direct. Blueprint is next. It leads with illicit financial flows. Bulk of $90 billion exits Africa through Nigeria. Continent loses $50 billion to illegal assets. And FG saves 10 trillion naira from the TSA. That's the blueprint. The Daily Trust this morning is leading with President Buhari to the National Assembly leadership. He's saying, I'm under pressure to constitute cabinet. I was misquoted on ministerial list. Lawan is now quoted to be saying. It's also in the line of what the nation is leading with. The nation is saying further, though, the lead story, let me just stick to that, revealed Kaduna politician behind Tinubu 2023 items, APC stalwarts, alleged ambition, souvenirs traced to Dubai. Buhari is also there, quoted to say he's under pressure on the cabinet list. Finally, at this time, the Vanguard taking us back to the Shiites clash with police in Abuja and the protest in Lagos. They are reported to further cause massive traffic gridlock in Maryland, Bank Anthony Way, Ikorodu Road in Lagos. And 21 million Shiites say they're ready to die. They threaten nationwide protests if their leader El Zakzaki isn't released. Gentlemen, a lot on our plate this morning, but then let's look at the ministerial list, which President Buhari is now saying he's under pressure on cabinet list. But then you'd recall, Sheson, that Senate President Lawan had said the list will be out this week, and now he's saying he was misquoted.
The issue of the president telling us is under pressure to release the ministerial list, I think is really uncalled for. This is an administration that worked the last 4 years. He has given us a tip that he is going to work with the people that he knows. So definitely we are going to see some of these ministers that we had the last time coming back on board. So why the delay? Because we are still going to have those things sent to the National House of Assembly for them to scrutinize and pass them, ask them questions and all those things. We need a spontaneous and quick action to say so that these guys can take charge and give the masses, the people that voted you in, the benefit of what they do, because each one of them anchor. As we speak, you cannot hold anybody accountable except the civil servants, who are possibly the DGs, the permanent secretary holding different ministry. But we need a minister that can give account of what is going on. So I don't see any reason why the president will be telling us that he's under pressure. He's due. This is over a month. And you've worked with them. And
for you now, what's your take, especially if you look at the angle of Senate President Lawan? At a point, it was like it wasn't even in his place in the first place now to intimate Nigerians that the list will be out before the end of the week.
Yes, I listened to Lawal, and Lawal could not say that he's under that he was misquoted. I had him clean and clear, where he said that he is expecting the ministerial list from Mr. President before the week runs out. I had him. He was on blue kaftan or agbada, whatever. So he couldn't have said, I wouldn't know how they quoted misplaced. I don't know where it comes from. He said it, and we all had him. That's number one. But not to dwell too much on his being misquoted. To look at it, I'm getting a little bit disappointed in President Buhari saying he's under pressure. You know most of the ministers you worked with. You know some of them that resigned because they were going to contest for governor, right. The one that was going to be given appointments, some of them, and you probably bringing somebody to act or whatever. By now, you should have known whom your minister, those that were returning. I can tell you if we are going to have any change, we are not going to have more than 15 changes from the ministerial list. I can tell you that. And I will stand by that when the ministerial list is eventually released. We'll probably have just like 15 members. I see Fashola coming back. I see Dan Bazao coming back. I see some of them. I saw Ogbonaya Onu coming back. I see most of them coming back. So what is the problem? Why is it being delayed? But however, again, I must commend him also for taking some steps that probably would have come from the minister. Yesterday, I saw a statement released by Femi Adesina, which says they have directed that Mint should be printing Nigerian passports. Honestly, that was a sharing news.
Okay.
We probably would have had that from the minister, but it's coming from him now.
From the president.
And we also had the CBN governor now saying source military uniform and other things locally. Those are fantastic measures.
That said, Smart, Chesson, petroleum, for example, now, we saw the president occupying a very critical and sensitive position, substantive minister of the petroleum industry. Do you see that happening again when this list is out?
Well, I see that coming
and
again.
Do you even see the wisdom in it?
But for me, it's not something that we should give that portfolio to the... You see, Obasanjo did it. Buhari is coming to do the same. But as far as I'm concerned, we should give that substantive office to someone that should be accountable to the press. It's not only petroleum that we have in this country. We might be clamoring that that's our major source of income, our revenue as a nation, but people are diversifying. If you see what is going on in Europe and developed country, they are not really after petroleum any longer. We've seen issues where people are developing electric vehicles and all sorts of things. Solar keeps gaining ground every day, even in this country. So I feel the president should
diversify.
Distance himself from that, give it to core people who understand petroleum. What we need people who understand every sector, put the round peg in the round stuff, and don't misquote people. Don't bring somebody who doesn't have understanding of power to administer it, because they're just going to tell him what is going to
So quickly, Smart, you said someone like Babatunde Raji Fashola would come in, but we saw how he was saddled with a lot. First, why should we recycle the same people? And two, should someone like Fashola even still, should we even still have the power, works and housing sector still merged into one? No,
I think I will not subscribe to Fashola retaining the three portfolio he did in the last dispensation. But however, you see, if you have a good person handling a position, there is nothing wrong retaining such person. Either we like it or not. Fashola had worked fantastically in the last 4 years, and at least he touches all aspects of it. You see, he trained himself, he came up, had some experts, had some background consultant to assist him in all the jobs. And you see, to a large extent, he didn't really fail us, except for the fact that the funds were just not enough to do it. And that is where I was expecting him to have advised Mr. President, let us get out of federal government investing on roads. By today, I was expecting the Fashola to have come up to have said, look, most of the roads that we have in this country, especially the trunk A roads, those are the federal highways, look, should be concession.
All right.
By that time, we would probably have reduced our dependence on borrowing to repair roads, to reconstruct roads. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, the federal government has no business borrowing to finance roads. Daily Sun is saying pro-El Zakzaki protest spreads and Shiites storm Lagos, clash with police again in Abuja. Gunshots as 60 protesters are arrested in FCT. That's what the Daily Sun has. Moving now to the News Direct. News Direct on military, police, medicals source uniforms locally. The President Buhari is ordering that as CBN targets zero textile apparels importation by 2020 to reduce $4 billion annual import bill. This is quite interesting, sending great signals to Nigerians. We'll be talking about it shortly. Blueprint is where we go next. Illicit financial flows. Bulk of $90 billion exits Africa through Nigeria. Continent
continent loses rather $50 billion to illegal assets, and federal government saves 10 trillion naira from TSA. Okay, that's what the blueprint has. From there, let's go to the Daily Trust. Daily Trust is our next paper now. Buhari to National Assembly leadership. I am under pressure to constitute cabinet. And I was misquoted on ministerial list. Lawan says that's the Senate president. That's what it's on the front page of the Daily Trust. Now let's move to The Nation. The Nation newspaper is saying, revealed, Kaduna politician behind Tinubu 2023 items. Kaduna politician behind Tinubu 2023 items. APC stalwarts alleged ambition souvenirs traced to Dubai. Okay, you find that on the front page of The Nation. Moving to Vanguard now. Vanguard is saying Shiites clash with police in Abuja, protest in Lagos. And caused massive traffic gridlock in Maryland, back Anthony Way, Ikorodu Road in Lagos. And say 21 million Shiites ready to die, threaten nationwide protest if El-Zakzaky is not released. That's what we have on the front page of the Vanguard. Okay, gentlemen, that's the last one now. This story on the front page of the News Direct would interest you. A lot of Nigerians I've heard have remarked on this, where it refers to the military, police, and medicals source uniforms locally. That's the President Muhammadu Buhari issuing that order there, and he also has a rider that says as CBN targets zero textile apparels importation by 2020. I wonder how cheery this headline is to you, Ishason. Let me start with you on this.
Very good news. Yeah. If you look at some of the countries that we look up to today as developed, they believe in their own product. If the federal government is doing this, I don't want a situation where the president will just give the order. We should monitor it to later. If some of these fabrics we are talking of can be produced here, there are so many value chain we are talking of. It will create employment. It will definitely improve, the economic power of people down here, rather than everything we are importing. Every import-based economy will not grow. We have every capacity, labor. We have the population to ride on that. So, coming up with this kind of idea to say they were going to put a stop to it by 2020 is a welcome idea. But we should follow it to later.
All right. Smart, at the days, in fact, even before the days of Professor Dora Akunyili as Minister of Information, where she came up with a slogan, good people, great nation. And then there was the campaign to patronize made in Nigeria goods and all of that. Sometimes government does all of these things, but it seems that the Nigerian taste for foreign or imported good is entrenched.
You see, I disagree. You see, it becomes not competitive. You see, Nigerian-made goods, they are a bit expensive, and you see foreign goods, you see them less expensive. Of course, when you look at its cash ratio, you say, okay, let me go and buy this one that is even foreign made, that is less expensive than a Nigerian one that is at least expensive. But I'll give you, at the end of the day, the cheaper thing is always very bad. Look, I'll quickly make this. We talk about Nigerian cables and cables made in China or wherever. You see, Nigerian cables today have been tested to be the best. You build a fantastic house, a very mighty house, and you'll be using imported cable. Before you know it, will burn it off. But you use Nigerian cables, you will see that day in, day out, you are not having any security. First, it was a sharing news when I heard it yesterday, and I listened to the CBN governor very well. He make an analysis. They've even gone beyond what we were expecting, that yes, they are going to, in the companies that they are going to produce this, they are going to provide security. They talked about the Ministry of Defense and whatever, coming up with a security model that will safeguard this place, that this uniform does not get into the wrong hands. It was a fantastic one. I wish we can take it beyond rhetorics, because we like making policies that are not implemented. Yesterday, honestly, I think for once, President Buhari made some sharing news that gladdens my heart. One of them, again, is Femi Adesina releasing a statement that henceforth Nigerian passports will be produced by the Mint. Before now, Nigerian passports they produce it in Nigeria. You hardly have scarcity. If you had scarcity within the next 1 week, the mint has flooded the market, the immigration offices with the passport. But what do you see? We import our Nigerian passport from Malaysia, from Indonesia, all these countries.
Sometimes you apply
get for 3 months.
And they tell you
for
they
3
don't
months.
have the 60
I was trying to renew my
the
passport.
35-page
I had an urgent trip to do. I now realize that my passport is almost about 2 months to expiration. So I could not travel. Do you know I went to Ibadan to capture? Up till now, the passport is not ready.
Because some of the booklets are not ready?
Because the booklets are not ready.
And
even when they are available, they are rationing it.
Okay.
Why should I? Why should we even go through such
all right,
experience?
Sheson, when it comes to all of these, one would say these are even common knowledge that government should even use in the first instance to help itself when it comes to building capacity amongst or within Nigerian companies and also creating wealth from within.
So they know some of those things, but it's always alarming that putting the right thing is always difficult for us to do. It's not that we don't know. If we don't empower us, how do you want us to give back to you?
They talk about some so-called cabals that are sometimes stronger than the system.
Are the cabals
who have interest in some of these
Whatever
things.
interest you have, I keep telling the individual, anyone that has interest that is against the populace, they are still going to use individuals to perpetrate those things. Those cabals you're talking of, they might just be 5 in a particular area, but they have lieutenants that are going to work for them. Those lieutenants should think beyond the personal gain of the so-called cabal and do what is needful. Because if you are not doing it right, and they are just using it to achieve their personal gain, you are going to pay for it. Your children are going to pay for it. The future, some of the things that we are entrenched in are things that are caused by our fathers that refuse to take the bull by the horn. So when I hear of cabal are a few guys that will just use other people to achieve what they want to achieve. So refuse to be used and get the right thing done, then we will move on. These are things that we should, if you patronize, even if we don't get it right at the first instance, by the time you do it first time, second time, you improve the quality. The so-called imported goods we are talking of, they don't always get it right the first time. We guide them, and over time, you become master of it. We want government to, not only in fabrics, other things, let's promote Nigeria-made products.
I wonder how challenging is, given the time frame between now and 2020, it looks good when you hear it. But when it comes to the mechanism, all the structures of achieving that between now and that time, 2020 is just next year.
Look, it is very easy because already Nigeria has well over 173 textile companies. As at now, maybe you have less than 15 that are operating. Let's even take the 15 that are operating. Let's give it to them. Say, okay, this is this material. Okay, we want to see a test sample of what you do. Come up with it. For goodness sake, most of the Ankara we wear. There are some by some companies made in Ikorodu. They are better off. So let us give to this company. Let them do it. If they don't get it right, they will do it again. They will do it again. Okay. The same thing we are beginning to patronize. We should begin to patronize this Aba. Sometimes if you see these jungle boots, what we call boots or canvas made in Aba, you see they are fantastic. They are strong. Why can't we patronize them? And you will hear them spending billions to import billions of dollars, millions of dollars to import police, military hardware.
We have a Nigerian, made in Nigeria automobile right now that everyone is talking about. Yeah. We expect that somehow government should make it a West African issue where they ensure that some of these companies produce enough to even export to West Africa.
Yes, again, probably we should not mention their name because of adverts. But honestly, you see, that is where sometimes again I get confused with this government. If you see somebody doing something right, all you just in the first place patronize such person. Okay, make it a point of duty that all the ministries and parastatals buy all your cars from this place and your.
But at least we've seen the road safety doing that.
You understand? So do all this when you ensure that you must bring all your vehicles from this company. Okay. Then thereafter begin to talk to those companies that look, go and open outlets.
You
Go and
know,
open shops
outside.
outside Nigeria.
Yeah.
Take it to Cotonou, take it to Togo, take it to
Accra.
Ghana, just take it
All right.
around, and gradually they will begin to accept it.
Okay, we look forward to how this thing is going to play out, and certainly we also, it's going to be a good call, like Nigerians have seen it. We wait to see how it will play out. Thank you very much, Smart Okwoche, for coming, and Sheson Kwade, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.